right, you guys, we are waiting on at least a few more people to get in here before we start. And we're doing one of our Potpourri podcasts where pretty much anything goes within reason. Okay, so you guys can ask questions. You can ask more than one question as long as it's within reason. And let's just take a look. Let me just see what the message is right now for everybody with, I don't know, what's going on with the world, what's happening, um, just with the universe and events that are happening, not just the war, but like, all events. Like, let me just see if there's any message that's coming forward right now. And let me look at that first, and then we'll just dig into all the questions, okay? It's been a while since we've done a potpourri podcast. I think Christmas was the last one. Let's take a look. Let me just see what the universe is bringing forth as a message. Again, my name is Carla Barron. I am a psychic medium, mostly known for being a psychic profiler on crime scenes and missing persons and unsolved mysteries and that kind of thing. And you may have seen me on television with either paranormal activity projects on various networks or doing the crime thing, the crime psychic thing on Court TV, True TV for a number of years. That was like for probably a good 12 years I was on television. Let me just take a look here, and good evening to all you guys. I am going to, got my cards. I'm going to just take a look here, just for what the message is from the universe for right now, right at this moment. Okay. Just relax and breathe. Okay. 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 So I have to ask that again because a lot of personal stuff about my life was coming up. So let me just ask again for the collective. I need to know what messages are out there for the collective, for the earth at this point. Like, the turmoil we're in. What's the forecast out there? What is the universe? What is a message from the universe right now for us? Okay. Very interesting. You know, um, this is basically saying that whatever's going on in the Middle East and what's happening over there is, because it's showing me that the alliance that's going on is something else completely different from what we think it is. This is showing me Asia. Let me narrow that down. China. Remember when I talked about China like a while ago and I said that, I think it's very low key what's going on there right now, but the message that I'm getting is that there are secret, behind the scenes kind of meetings where not only financially, but technology wise and whatnot. And I'm going to double check on China, but that's what I'm getting. It's so weird because I really didn't think that they were a major player right now, but they don't want to be known as one. So by me saying this, I'm probably putting myself out there. I mean, is it my imagination that Shanghai has been on my website like pretty much I mean, it's scraping my website every day for the past, I'd say 3 weeks. But, that notwithstanding, I'm looking at their participation. Is it China that I'm seeing with the US? And they're having very clandestine, behind the doors kind of meetings where they're sort of ensuring this war. Let me just look. Yeah, here's the thing. I think Donald Trump and whoever at the top here in this country in the US has painted themselves into a corner, let's say. And part of what I'm seeing is that reluctantly he had to take these meetings. He didn't want to. The feeling that I'm getting is that they had no other choice. And I'm not getting any of this information from Douglas or, my guy who's out there right now. Like, I'm not, this is coming directly from me asking the universe. And it's sort of surprising me because I didn't expect to see China actually being a player, but it's almost like they are they're a hidden player. They want to remain anonymous. They want to remain. Um, Michelle is saying, China, you said in North Korea, December 6th podcast. Thank you, Michelle, because you're our note taker. Um, let me look at North Korea for a second. Let's see if they're in this thing. Let me just look. They are, but almost by proxy. I get North Korea will benefit from this, but only if they sit down and shut up and do what we say and that kind of thing. That's sort of the language I'm getting from Trump and his little clandestine meetings, that as long as they sit down and shut up and just do what we say, they'll be fine. We'll protect them. Just give us what we need. If we need manpower over there, you need to send. If we need artillery, you need to send, you know, and basically they're on standby. But let me look at China, because that is new to me, because I didn't really expect to see it. I've said it before, but now it's coming through pretty strong. So let me just look again. Is China, and I wasn't really expecting to kick this potpourri podcast off with the same thing that I canceled for tonight, because um, Douglas, you guys know who he is. He's a Navy pilot out there, and he's basically, he has retired, but they get to hold him because he's in an active war zone. So that's the rule. If he's already out there, they get to hold him. So, I mean, the fact that he's getting paid double per day doesn't really make me feel any better, because his wingman was killed this week, and it's somebody that he's known for over 8 years, 8.5 years, I think he said, and it was one of his best friends, if not his best friend, his best wingman ever, and he lost him. I believe it was Monday for us. I just didn't want to do an entire podcast about it out of love for him and respect for him and what he does and what he's doing right now. So I wanted to, just at least give it this week for healing and for me to take care of him any way that I can. And I just didn't want to do an entire podcast about what he's doing over there, because I just thought that that was disrespectful. And I had a dream of three names that I gave him of individual souls that would help him heal. And actually, this Italian, this wingman, was one of the names. And he didn't say those names to me at all during any conversation. So this was something new for me, because I usually, if you've read with me before privately, I don't typically get names or exact names or addresses, or I don't really get that. If I do, it's because it's being given to me and there's no other way around it. But this was something new, where I was dreaming of three names, and I wrote it down right away and emailed him. And I said, look, I don't know if this means anything to you, but I see these three souls being very integral to your healing process with, not only PTSD, but like your heart healing and your soul healing, because he was ripped to shreds, before. And I said, if that helps you, let me know. And this was before I even started talking to him on a very personal level, like we are now. And we're in love now. So like it's a whole thing. But this was in the very beginnings of that. And I had this dream when he first got deployed. And I think it was when he was getting deployed to the Caribbean. So I saw these names in my dream on November 15th. I remember the date because when I woke up, I had to write it down right away. And I wrote these three names down. And I won't say the names out of respect for him. So, but the first name that was coming through very strong was the wingman that he never forgave himself for. The second name was the one that died this past Monday. And it's an unusual name. Okay. And it's his call sign. It's not even like his first name, it was his call sign. So that's what was coming through. And it was just a weird name. And it wasn't a usual name. In fact, it wasn't a name of anyone that I've ever read in my entire life. So I've never really said that name before. And the third name, we sort of figured out could have been his father. So, after we sort of analyzed it for a little bit, because we thought it might be his friend, but it turns out that it may have been his father, who has that same name. Because when they come through in the dream, they come through at the age where they felt most like themselves. Like, for instance, that picture that I posted today of that ghost photo that you've seen a million times that I've taken, I took it when I was filming for History Channel on an episode of Mystery Quest up at Alcatraz. And I was I was literally just walking around trying to keep warm because it was freezing, and it was Easter Sunday. I remember when we were doing this, and I was walking around just to keep warm. So I was just snapping off pictures in empty cells. There was nothing in there. And I was in D block, and I had a utility flashlight with me because it was completely dark back there, especially at that hour in the morning. It was like 5:30 in the morning. So I I took the light, I took the utility flashlight, I shined it in each of the cells, and I just snapped off pictures. I didn't know if I was going to get anything. I was just doing what paranormal people do, ghost hunters do. This is what we do. We just keep documenting. So I took that picture, and that woman that's in the gown, I am 99% sure that's my grandmother, who is married to my grandfather, who also was in the Navy, and his birthday would have been today. And today's the anniversary of that picture. And right before I snapped the picture off, I wished him a happy birthday. Even though he's on the other side, he still gets a birthday. As far as I'm concerned, he still gets a birthday. So I wished him a happy birthday. And I was very close to both of them before they died. In fact, she's one of the main reasons I became a psychic, because she took me to my first psychic when I was 11. I was very young, and there was no turning back. Once that happened, it was the most exciting thing that ever happened to me. So I thank you, Michelle. She's saying happy heavenly birthday to my grandfather. So he anyways, so he also was in the Navy. He wasn't a pilot though. He was in the Navy. And I remembered he was just always very protective of me. And I was wishing him a happy birthday and telling them I love them right before I took this picture. And it's pinned to, it's up there in my feed today. It's on my Instagram also. I put it there. And I even sent it to Katie Couric one morning, and I said, because she asked me to send it, I said, well, I sort of took a picture that is absolute, in my mind, absolute proof of the afterlife, that actually exists. And she said, send it to me. And I sent it to her, and she said, my God, I've never seen anything like that. And I said, I know. I said, the detail in the gown she's wearing. And my grandmother, before I knew her, had that color hair. I didn't know until I checked, because I never saw pictures of her with that color hair. It was like a dark blonde or like a light brown. And that was her hair color when she was around 30. So the age that they appear in these dreams or these visions, what happens with that is they end up having they come through as the age where they felt most like themselves, most like what their soul embodies. That age is how they will appear to everyone if they come through in a vision. So sometimes it's when they're a child. Sometimes it's when they're 20. Sometimes it's, and it looks in that picture like she's around in her 30s. When I met her, of course, she was in her 60s. So she had platinum hair like they all did, And So I didn't know anything except the platinum hair. But then I saw pictures of her. I think I asked my mother or something to show me pictures of her when she was younger, and sure enough, that was her hair color. So when I come through, and I will haunt each and every one of you, and that'll be 200 years from now, I will come back as, whatever age I felt the most like myself. And it's probably going to be right around now, like the last couple decades. Not when I was first starting out, because I was a mess. I was a complete mess. I was emotionally so um just there was no describing, like I was all over the place. And I am the most centered now. And I'd say the last 15 years, I am the most centered I've ever been. So this will be the age, you know, whatever age that is, because we're not saying. But if not, if I'll come back. I'll come back. I won't haunt people, but it'll be very interesting for me to permeate uh, different planes of existence and appear to people in dreams or visions and try to help them that way from the other side. So anyway, so when I was having this dream, if it was his father in the dream, he would have been around it. The person looked like they were around between 25 and 30 maybe. And that person was, for some reason, holding on to the edge of what looked like a cliff, like he was going to fall, but he was holding on. So not sure what that means yet, because we still have to analyze that like crazy, but we will. And I just didn't want to do an entire podcast right this week out of courtesy, and out of, my heart is broken for him. So I was actually supposed to meet this person later. We were going to go to Italy, and I was going to meet this person that passed away. So he was shot down on Monday. Um, so yeah, my heart was hurting. So I didn't want to do it for that reason. And he needs to heal a little more, and I will see what I can for him. He gets to luck out because he's with a woman who does this every day. So he will get me going in there and seeing if I can communicate with him. And I will do that freely every single day of my life, as long as it helps. You know. So anyway, let's take a look at questions now. All right, I opened it up with that whole thing, but clandestine meetings that are taking place. I'm seeing like 5 things right now. Sorry, I can't talk. Secret meetings are taking place. It looks like the United States. It looks like Trump is taking these meetings, but didn't want to. Begrudgingly, he is doing this behind the scenes because he has to save whatever. So he's taking the meetings to ensure, either financially or alliances that he didn't really want to make, because he wanted to do the whole thing himself. But it looks like he had to get some insurance policy going in there. And it looks like I am seeing China is possibly a player, but they want to remain anonymous. And of course, what I just did was say their name out loud. Of course, I did. I just said that out loud. But nobody talks to me like I'm anything, right? Because I'm a psychic. And People don't pay attention to what I say, right? But I've been right and accurate on so many occasions that you know we might want to mark that down. Let's just mark that down. Uh, they may be helping to finance or help with technology, is what I'm seeing. That they may be lending us some things, but not saying so out loud. Like it's not a an outright alliance. It's a secret alliance. All right. So send your requests and let's get started on your questions. It can be about anything, guys, as long as it's a viable question and it's within reason. I'm not doing personal questions tonight because I did that a couple of weeks ago on the other podcast when I was offering that. Those only happen about maybe 3 times a year with free questions for you guys. Let me take a look here. Let's see who's on here. All right, Michelle, are you on? Michelle, hey,
Can you hear me? I
I can hear you. So sorry,
okay.
I went on a long tangent there telling my story. My stories usually have they're like bedtime stories because they like go off in various facets. Like they just and then I bring it all back at the end. But
Yes,
I
you do.
when I tell stories, I tend to get off on my tangents, so I apologize. But I was trying to point out how these dreams actually occur when I'm having prophecy type dreams.
hmm
I wake up, I have to write it down in an email to myself right away. Like that's usually what happens. I'll go to my laptop and I'll write it down right away, like the details of what I saw, so I don't forget. I mean, even before I go pee or anything, I have to go write it down, and then I can go about my day making coffee and whatever. But once I write it down, then I'm good. But
hmm
the thing I saw about China, strange. What's your
Well,
question?
you kept saying it from December 6th. You kept saying China's involved quietly, but China's involved. You said it.
Well, I don't know if I said quietly then, but I'm seeing quietly now because I think if they come out the box looking all proud as a peacock that they're doing this with us,
hmm
they are they are slicing their own throats. So
I could
I
see
see
that.
that they're keeping behind the scenes with this alliance. And oh, believe me, there's a payout and they're getting handsomely paid for this, and they are getting the benefits of doing this are multifold, and they will reap the benefits shortly thereafter. He didn't want to do this though. Trump didn't want to do this. I can see he's reluctant. Like he basically was dragging his feet to the table. He didn't want to do it.
I could see that.
But
Mike. Uh huh.
I think he did it recently because he is trying to stack the deck, and he's trying to have an insurance policy just in case. Because if the world markets collapse, and everything goes, he needed a player that would step in and for a handsome fee, of course, would
Right.
step in and save the day.
I'm
If
sure.
anything, he's a businessman. We know this from him.
Right. Right.
So he's saving the financial networks,
hmm
and the technology and all the rest of that is how China will get paid.
Right.
Maybe they own, maybe they have fiber optics all over the world, then maybe they just own the infrastructures to various things. I don't know.
Yeah.
What is your question?
Well, this is pretty recent that Trump fired Nome, and I'm wondering if he's going to go after Bondi next, and will that whole administration finally collapse?
Okay. Well, the answer to that is it will, but it's the word collapse is flashing for me, so that tells me that's incorrect.
Hmm.
So it's not going to be a collapse as much as it is a
Or maybe they'll jump ship.
well, here's what I'm seeing. The image that I'm seeing is actually pulling weeds.
Hmm.
Like they're pulling weeds out of the administration is what's been like one by one, the weeds will get pulled.
Hmm.
But I don't think it's going to be an entire collapse all at once. I think the second one person is, one weed is pulled, another one is put in its place.
Right.
I get that there's a substitute already in play, you know. So,
Yeah, but I'm hearing it's not the greatest substitute. It's just the same, just in a male skin.
well, I don't think it really matters as long as he's taken care of, I don't think as long as his wishes and his demands are met, I don't
Hmm.
really think it matters. He just wants someone that isn't going to fight him on
Right.
policies and his decisions, and
Hmm.
he just needs people that yes him to death,
Exactly. Exactly.
and as long as he's got that, you've got a job. So that's another reason his ego and his pride. He didn't want to have to do this backdoor deal to ensure the nation and to ensure this war.
Hmm.
Because I think he's losing control of some of it.
Right.
I think he bit off more than he could chew. I think in his mind it was going to be over in like a matter of a week. Oh, it'll be over in a week, and then they'll throw parades in my honor and all that.
Well, this is
I
funny you said that.
why?
That's because my next question was, did the timeline change now? Because things are getting out of control. When the war will end.
I still don't think it's going to be like years or even 6 months, but um, I think what's happening is that he counted on everything sort of falling apart after a very short time. I get like a week to 10 days kind of thing, and that didn't
Right.
happen.
Hmm.
And it's because he's pissing off the wrong people.
Exactly.
And now, and now, and now all of a sudden, it's like, whoops, I guess we're in this. I think he wanted to, do a strong showing up front and then pull everybody out.
Hmm.
And it became impossible. The second they were in there, it was like a vacuum. It was like a black hole. Once they
Hmm.
got there, it was like a black hole and they were sucked in, and getting out is very tricky now
That's what I'm afraid of. Yep. Hmm.
because of the strategy there. It's very, very tricky to pull them out of that situation without causing multiple other problems,
Right.
other collapses. See, I don't think he thought this through. I think he thought, oh, they'll throw parades in my honor and I'll get the Nobel Peace Prize and that'll be the end of that. And
That's
and
his
and
ego. Yeah.
and if I die in the next year, then I'll be remembered in the history books for saving everybody. I
Right.
I think I think that right there. I
Hmm.
think he didn't realize he was the pawn of something much bigger.
Uh huh.
And I don't think he realized he was a pawn in other leaders' games,
Mhm.
that have been putting this together for some time, and he was a willing participant and didn't realize that he was also a willing pawn in this
Right.
chess game.
Crazy.
So, is this going to last for a long time? Let me take a look for the length of time that this Middle East conflict will. Well, let's be selfish right now and just look at the US and our country right now just to see how long we'll be in this. Will we be in this conflict for a long time or a short time? Give me some sort of an indicator on the timeline. I'm asking I'm asking my higher guides now that oversee all the realms, not just mine, but all the realms. Give me a time frame, first window when this could be over for the United States. Okay. Okay. Ouch. That doesn't, okay. Well, now I'm being pointed back to Venezuela for some reason.
Venezuela.
And Cuba, like that area. Cuba, Venezuela, like that area again in the Caribbean. For some weird reason, I'm being pulled back there as part of this. And I'm not really sure why. So I'll come back to that. Let me just look for the time frame involving how much longer is the United States going to be in this. I mean, they kicked off World War III. I'm sorry, but I'm calling it. That's what they did. They kicked off
Yeah.
World War III. World War III is being fought on a stage that is psychological and technological.
Mhm.
It's not the same kind of war we're used to in World War One or two, or Korea or Vietnam. It's not that same kind of war. It's almost like a smart war. Like, who can own everything? It's almost like a game of Monopoly to them.
Right.
How much longer is the United States in this war? I am looking. There again, I'm seeing Venezuela, Cuba. For some reason, I'm being pulled back there. There may be talks going on with them. I don't know. I have to look. Somebody do some research on that while we're on this podcast and bring that back to me, please, because I'm seeing some sort of connection there. Again, there's something going on there, either something they want or some strategic maneuver with that area. I'm not really sure. Cuba, Venezuela. I don't know which one. But it's that area. All right. So let me go back to this Middle East conflict. How much longer is the United States actively in this? He's pissed off the wrong people. See, this is a problem now. I don't. I think that the beginning of May is the first time that we may see the light of day where we could extract ourselves. The problem is it's almost like quicksand that he's Trump, you know, doesn't pull out. He makes another statement that pisses off somebody else and then he loses alliances, he loses friendships, he loses contracts, he loses loyalties. And every time he opens his mouth, something new happens, like a new fresh hell comes into play, because this is what this is saying. It is saying between the month of May and July 4th. Like that period of time looks like the first window where we could end this, where our part of this conflict is laid to rest.
That's crazy.
Well, just mark it down like you do. Okay.
I just did.
And see what you can dig up when you have time, if you would, or any of you guys, what you can dig up
Venezuela and
about
Cuba.
Cuba and Venezuela, because I definitely see, I'm leaning more towards Venezuela though, for some reason, because I see the woman.
Okay.
Okay, I see a woman leader, um, with her coloring.
Hmm.
So I'm leaning towards Venezuela. So if you can dig up what's going on with that, like why am I being pulled towards that when I'm asking about this world war? Maybe they play uh, a strategic, you know, like maybe something happens there with that country, with their participation. Maybe there's one very quick maneuver they make or play that they make on a world stage that causes, sometimes it's the smallest things. Not to say that Venezuela is a small country, but sometimes just very small decisions or very small acts, or somebody, you know, does something in a very small way, but it ends up sending a ripple. And I'm this is the time frame I'm picking up. I think we'll be in this until the beginning of May. Looks like July 4th, between those two dates somehow. So if that changes, I'll let you know if that changes.
Okay.
But that's kind of what I'm seeing. I think he thought it would be 7 to 10 days, and he just kept opening his mouth, and
He keeps
he
putting
just
his foot
couldn't
in
help
it.
himself. Well, he couldn't help himself. He just kept going, and every time he did it, it set it back even further. The problem is that he wants all the accolades. He wants it all for himself. He wants all the riches, all the accolades, all the you know the gratitude for, and and all of the credit for having saved the world, the entire world, not just the United States, but the entire world. And I think what happened was his hubris, and him just showing off, and his ego killed a bunch of deals along the way, and just put people off that were in the mix and had made the agreements, but they stepped back.
I found something on Venezuela.
What?
That Venezuela and Iran signed a 20-year contract, military and strategic cooperation, a defense agreement for 20 years.
When?
Um, Let me see.
This is something that happened a while ago.
Looks like 2026.
Okay, well, anyway, I said what I said, and let's just see if that comes to pass. But I try
Well,
not
maybe
to.
that's when they discovered it, but they signed
Well,
an agreement. Yeah.
I'm trying not to retrofit my predictions into various things. So, like, let's just see how this plays out. But that's kind of the gist of what I'm getting, is that every time he opened his mouth, he set back this war even further, where he couldn't pull our guys out of there until, because it's like quicksand. It's like a black hole they're in now. The more he kept opening his mouth, the worse it got.
That seems to be his whole presidency.
Well, I mean, people know there's no love lost there between me and Donald Trump, but I, I it's I still look at it in a very fair way.
Oh, of course.
I'm trying to look at it in an overview as a psychic just to see what I can see. All right. So, do you have another
I'm gonna
question?
check. I'm gonna check more on the dates on that, and I'll get back to you. You could
Okay,
talk
get
to
back to me.
somebody else. Okay.
Okay. All right. So, if somebody else has a question, just send me a request, and it can be on anything as long as it's within reason. And if I can see what I can see about it, I will try. Um, yeah, those dates came up. So let's just keep an eye on that, guys. Beginning of May to there seems to be the toggle time. And Venezuela, I can't get that out of my head because I see, I don't even know her name. This is so embarrassing. I don't even know her name. What is her name? Michelle, type me her name, the leader of Venezuela. tell me who she is, because I see her face. I see her face in this vision in my head. I see her face. I just can't remember her name. Um, but I am seeing that somehow she's involved with something. Uh, she's a player on this chessboard. She's a player in this game of Monopoly that he started. Interesting. All right. Let's take a look at any other questions you guys have. It can be about anything. It doesn't have to be about world events. It can be about the paranormal. It can be about spirituality. It can be about souls. It can be about psychic ability. It can be about um, Nancy Guthrie, if you want it to be. I mean, everything is open here on this podcast. That's why it's called a Potpourri podcast. So if you want to ask a question, if you're having trouble requesting and you're losing your Wi-Fi for whatever reason, just send me a note underneath this podcast and I will add you on manually. Okay. So send me a request if you have a question about any of that. And also Nancy Guthrie, if you wanted to ask me a question that you couldn't ask on the first two, we're going to do another episode on that. Probably, I'm waiting until a little more time goes by, before because I just don't want to keep talking about the same things. I want fresh information to come through psychically if I'm going to see something about where she is, or perhaps a piece of evidence that comes forth, or an arrest that is made or something. I just I want new information to come through. I don't want to just keep rehashing the same details over and over again. Otherwise it turns into Brian Koberger, doesn't it? Because I mean, it's like no matter where I was turning and looking at Brian Koberger and all the things that were being said, there was so much of the same stuff just being regurgitated all the time. And people were obsessed and talked about it left and right until and nothing new was coming from it. So I'm trying to keep everything fresh when I talk about these cases. So yes, we will do more on the Nancy Guthrie. That is a series in and of itself, and I will do as many episodes on Nancy Guthrie as possible. Maybe next week will be the next one. I don't know. I would like some more time to go by, though, with fresh questions, with a fresh perspective on what's happening, because I think we've talked about everything so far, and nothing has really changed in my mind. If you're wondering, nothing has really. All right, so Venezuela, Michelle says, signed in 2022 with Iran. You lost your sound for some reason. Well, you might have to add yourself back as a speaker. Turn on your microphone again. Maybe you turned it off by accident. But it's still recording from what I can see. So, okay, Michelle, thank you. So that was 2022 for Venezuela, but Iran. All right, let's see what else I can see as far as a message from the universe while we're here. What other message from the universe is coming forward as far as, let's just ask about Nancy Guthrie. Is there any message about Nancy Guthrie from the universe right now, where we are? Okay. Yeah, I still, what it's saying about Nancy, just for a quick update there, it is saying that someone within a quote department or agency is involved in this, is responsible for this kidnapping and this event. So somebody is involved for money reasons. And the thing is that I think that they're a little angry because some mistakes were made that they're having to cover up. And I don't sense that she is still with us. That's the unfortunate part. I want to have hope for Savannah and her family. I want to have hope that Nancy's still back. All right, so Michelle, you have sound again. So
Yes, I'm back on. Thank you.
all right, so I mean, just to finish up on the Nancy Guthrie, I'm still sensing that she's not with us. So, I hope I'm wrong, and that'll be the time where I said, okay, I got that wrong. But so far, I've been sort of on about these, which is why they bring me in on certain investigations. So, I see an agency is involved, and they're not involved with solving it, they're involved with covering it up. So this is a cover up. And whether it was somebody that was desperate for money, and that was the reason, I don't know. But, I think some mistakes were made when it happened, and they didn't cover all their bases. And this is where the problem was. It wasn't done cleanly, with clean margins. I think they made mistakes that were not small mistakes, and they had to do a lot of cleanup after that. And this is the problem. This is what I'm seeing with this case. So again, we'll do another episode of Nancy Guthrie. You guys have to request it, though. Unless I see something in the news, or an announcement is made, where there's a big movement in the case. then I'll schedule it myself. But if you guys want another episode of Nancy Guthrie, just send a request on my feed there on X, and we'll get it going. I'll schedule it for one of these Fridays. All right. So, Michelle, did you have something else to add to the Venezuela thing?
Yes, I went back and read it, and they signed it in 2022.
Okay. Whatever this is, it's new. It's new, and it's some sort of backroom deal that was done.
Mm-hmm.
But I do we have the name of the woman that is running that country? Because I don't have it off the top of my head.
I don't either. Yeah.
Can you go look real quick while you're in
Yeah.
there? Just tell me what her name is, because I feel stupid not saying her name. So I see her face though, and I know it's her. That's why I kept saying Venezuela. Because when I went to Cuba, it was not. Maybe it's maybe it's aligning interest against Cuba or something. I don't know, but from what I can tell, that's coming into play with this Middle East thing for some reason. And normally I wouldn't put those two things together, but somehow they're in the same universe. So not sure what that has to do with it, but that's coming up in this reading tonight as I'm looking.
Okay, it's Delcy Rodriguez.
Oh, okay. So it's the first name is
Delcy, Delcy. I think she spells it.
Delcy?
Yeah.
Like a C?
Yeah, Delcy.
Delcy Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I will never forget her name again. All right. So thank you. Let's take a look at other questions now. It can be about any topic. It can be about the paranormal. It's one of those rare potpourri podcast things where it's mixing and matching topics tonight. So it can be anything within reason. It can be about aliens if you want to talk about alien life forms. It can be about the X-Files. It can be about any of the topics I've covered before. That's fine. I have no problem taking a look as long as you guys are courteous with the way that you inquire. If it's rude, I will get you off the podcast. So let's take a look at any other messages coming from the universe for right now, for just to all of us as souls. Let me just see what's happening. Let's ask the universe, what else do we need to know? What else do we need to see? What else do we need to embrace? What else? Okay. All right. Wow. Okay. Well, definitely getting those two countries again, Iran and Venezuela, those two countries. And I'm getting, even though a deal might have been struck, somebody reneged on the deal. Somebody changed it midstream. Somebody did something to change that deal. And it could be that Venezuela changed it on their end, and Iran is like pissed off now. Someone changed the deal midstream, for whatever reason. They didn't feel safe, they didn't feel secure, they didn't feel that it was politically correct anymore, they didn't feel whatever it was. And I'm seeing those two countries coming up here as part of what we have to look at as a world stage, okay? And that's what I'm being shown from my guides that are telling me right now. If we're going to focus on something, we need to look at this and look for this. This is going to happen soon. I'd say by the 1st of June, that backlash is going to happen. Somebody pulled out their part of the deal. I have a feeling it's Venezuela pulled out of their agreement and said, no, we can't do that now. Or, that's not going to be possible now. Or no, we can't. We're, at the time we thought we could, but we can't. And something where there is the trust has been shattered between those two entities, and they are not. This is going to have an impact now on this whole situation on the world stage. So this is part of what I'm being shown. I am also being pointed towards like earth changes and the earth's crust and temperature changes and the poles switching polarity and some other things here. So let me just see what's going on with that. Let me just see what they're telling me that I need to look at for that. Okay, this is a weird thing, and I've never read this, but I'm just going to say it. Half of the world may be plunged into an ice age at some point in the next 100 years, in the next century. Half of the world will be experiencing an ice age, and the other half of the world will be tropical. It'll be completely like two very different environments, but just mainly two. It won't be where it's all different all around the world anymore. Like we'll have temperate zones and nice even zones, and then we have hot zones, and then we have cold. No, it looks like there's going to be a very stark distinction between half of the world it's almost like half of the world is turned away from the sun most of the time. Either I'm not really sure what I'm seeing, but I'm seeing it under ice or an ice age on that half of the planet. I have no idea what I'm looking at, but that's what it looks like. And the other half of the planet looks like the temperatures rise, and of course this affects sea levels and the Earth's crust and magnetic fields and ley lines and drought situations and flood situations and like extremes is okay. There's the word I'm looking for. Extremes. There will be extremes being displayed on the geophysical map of this planet. It looks like it will be in the next century. in the next 100 years. Something happens. Either we blew ourselves up and that half of the world is under ice. I don't know. I'm getting this information very quickly, so I try to interpret it as best I can, looking at just looking at the scene the way I'm looking at it. That's what it looks like. Extremes, polar opposites, extremes, extreme weather displayed on one half of the planet, and then the other half is the exact opposite. Oh, and I'm also seeing that, I don't know, probably Elon Musk will be very happy, but I am also seeing that we may start with the very first settlers on Mars, also in that same 100 years, maybe to escape this polarity that I'm seeing with the extremes. It's like not just a slight extreme. I'm talking like extreme difference. Like you could cut the planet in half with a knife, and it's like that. Huh. Okay. All right. Let me get my head out of that for a second. Um, I'll look at other information that might come through, but I need to know if you guys have any more questions before I sign off tonight. Does anybody have a question about anything that's going on or something that you've wondered about? It can be about any of the podcasts that I've done recently. That's fine. A question that was not asked. So if you have a question, you need to send me a request to speak so that you can ask the question, and then I'll take a quick look for you. Otherwise, we'll have to wait until the next time we do one of these potpourri podcasts. Let me just see what else they want to tell us. Okay, are there any other messages from the universe right now for the collective? Any other messages that you need to convey? Very interesting. Okay. Remember when I said, let's just say the first lady, we all know who that is. When this is all done and over, it's almost like she turns him in and they go take him. That's all I'm going to say. You know what I mean by what I just said. I'm not going to say it again because I don't want to get in trouble. So that's what I just saw. Like she turns him in, she turns him over. Once this is all said and done, once all this is out of the way, hopefully you guys got the gist of what I was just saying. All right, we have somebody else who's requesting. Janine?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Hey.
Okay. Hi.
All right. So, what is your question for tonight?
Do you see any kind of activity against Cuba, like as happened in Venezuela and Iran?
From the United States or
Yes.
just anybody?
Yeah, the United States.
Okay. Just relax and breathe. I have to rephrase the question because it's the way the question is being asked. So let's ask it this way. Will Cuba see any? Will there be attacks on Cuba as a result of the United States? Will the United States in any way attack Cuba? I am looking. Not right at this second. Okay. Right now, there's a bigger fish to fry, but Cuba will. I'm seeing something else about Cuba where it's almost like, okay, this is what I'm seeing. Back when the colonies were happening with America before we became the United States of America, and back when it was England and they were sending all the prisoners to the island of Australia.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
That's kind of what I'm seeing with Cuba. It becomes an island of prisoners,
Oh,
like Alcatraz almost, like an island of prisoners
I could see that. Okay.
where where it develops over time, but it ends up being like um like a lifelong, similar to what Australia was when they used to send the prisoners there.
Okay.
And then, of course, they developed into a really nice country,
Hmm.
really nice accents. But, I am seeing something along those same lines for Cuba.
Okay. Okay.
Does that make any sense at all, or did I just?
No, no, I could see that. I could see that.
That's what I see happening eventually.
Okay.
Um, Almost like, all the resources get depleted, and it becomes a wasteland almost. The culture and all that ends up being, maybe it just implodes upon itself.
Okay.
Something where they have to move that culture somewhere else, maybe to Florida. I don't know, but
Okay.
I am definitely seeing there is a movement that will happen in a future timeline where it's similar to, like an island prison where they house some of the most dangerous criminals on the planet. Almost like it's not just criminals from here.
Like you mean globally, right?
Somebody else is saying, sealed. The universe is rearranging things for your highest good. Oh, saying something back to Catherine, I think. Um, I had a post earlier today on my feed that was somebody was wishing for something. And I'm like, what are they talking about? And I thought it had to do with what I was just saying. All right, so that's odd, but that's kind of what I see, that maybe it's a war and there's just so much bloodshed, so much everything, that it becomes a natural habitat for prisoners, and that's where they house them because they're running out of space.
Mm.
And it looks like almost like a like a like an international prison of some sort, for because that's what I see. It's not just one country. It's almost like a compound that I see, you know? So strange what I just saw with that. Good question though, if it makes me
Oh,
see these things. If that made any sense to you at all, just let me know. you know.
mm,
Um,
could
any
be
other
in the future.
question?
It could be in the future that that people are held accountable and
Maybe they just run out of, that
mm-hmm,
seems to be a likely place to put them. All
mm-hmm,
the despots and the dictators and all the,
right.
all the hardened criminals, the most dangerous criminals in the world. Maybe they decide to have them all in one place then,
I, I could
where
I could
where
do that.
they have these. And what's interesting about this is that I see some of it is underground also,
Hmm.
almost like 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 an underground underwater kind of thing too, where there's something very interesting, very futuristic looking. So I don't know if we'll be around to see that, but that's what I just saw. So interesting. I just go with what I'm being shown and I try to describe it as best I can. So,
Okay. Okay.
Janine, do you have another question?
Yeah, I wondered if there is, I don't know, I don't even know how to phrase the question, but how Saudi Arabia, I know like there was the exchange with Kushner and all, but how everything that's going on in the Middle East, how that is that is going to play out, how Saudi Arabia is, I don't know whether what their stance is now or if are we going to be affected by them now or
Okay, so you want to know what role the Saudis are playing
yes.
versus everybody else that
Yeah, I
we've
guess.
already talked about. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let me just take a quick look at that. Just relax and breathe while I take a look at the Saudi contingent. Let's see what they are all about over there. I keep hearing the word profit. They want to profit off of this. So they're going to start building things. uh, either artillery or machinery or, hotels or, I just see the word profit like across the board. They're looking for every angle for commerce that they can get their hands on. So for them, it's not so much about power, but how to capitalize on the situation. Yeah, let me look. Okay. Yeah, again, I keep seeing almost like a, like a, yeah, and it doesn't matter what the commerce is either. capitalizing on the situation, every angle, every opportunity. It's almost like they're just waiting for the scraps to fall from the table. They just want to see, oh, well, we can do this now. Look, they need this to happen, so we'll just get in there and put our money there. It's almost like supply and demand, and they're just waiting for the opportunity to scoop it up. That's what I see their role being. Not so much that they're trying to anger one side or the other, or they're going to stand beside, in some sort of, zealot type position, oh, they believe this about the war, or they have this ideology about this part of the war. They don't care. All they care about is it profitable and can they make money from it?
Yeah, how they can make the most money from it by what
And
they
all,
hear.
that's all I'm saying with that.
Okay.
And they're just waiting like rats circling the cheese. They're just waiting for the crumbs to fall from the table. The answer to that one, however, that hopefully that answered that for you.
Yeah, I think so.
Any other question, my dear?
Nah. Nancy Guthrie,
Yeah.
is there any connection to our government by what played out? Like from
Yeah.
like the White House, I'm saying.
Oh, so you want to go all the way up. All right. So let me just see.
I thought that from the very beginning.
Now, let me just see. Is there a connection to the top brass as far as Nancy Guthrie? As in she created a diversion, or as in she was a threat?
She could, like, my two things were either she was a diversion or it was a threat against, I don't know if it was her daughter or the news media or something.
All right. Well, let me just see.
Like, in other words, like, be careful what you say, be careful what you know.
Let me just see.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't think it was in the very beginning, but then it became that for them. Almost like the opportunity presented, and they're like, "Oh, let's use this."
Okay. That's
Do you
kind of
understand what I'm saying?
yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
They saw that happening in the news, and they're like, "Wow, that came at a most opportune time. Let's use that to help ourselves. Let's use that to spin a narrative or to create a diversion over here with that. That'll work for us. Let's use that."
Okay.
That's what I see. So it was almost like the cart before the horse kind of thing, where
Okay.
the unfortunate event happened, and then it became a scapegoat for them with something else. But I don't see that they were the cause of the event to begin with. No.
Okay. Just all the events that led up to it might have been manipulated, or during this time have been
Well, I
manipulated
think that
as the
that was like a,
yeah,
they were spinning a backstory for it,
right. I see that.
where somehow you might think that,
Hmm.
but I think the event presented, the unfortunate event presented an opportunity for them, and they could use it to their advantage.
Okay.
It created a media firestorm for them that they saw some benefit, piggybacking on that for
Right.
themselves.
Right.
That's what I see with it.
Okay.
I hope that helped.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Because I try to see it as accurately as I can see it. I try not to make it up as I go along.
Thank
But
you.
I have been known to go off on my tangents. So thank you for keeping me in line.
It's okay. I like your
just
tangents.
I go off on my, I'm like, 1,000 miles away from what I first started talking about. And then I'm like, oh yeah, we need to circle back to that first thing. Yeah, let's bring that back somehow. Let's wind back to the original narrative.
Yeah.
All right, so we covered everything. The only thing we haven't covered is aliens tonight. I mean, we've sort of touched on every other topic except for the paranormal. No, we did. We talked about ghosts and we talked about spirits and how they might appear. All right. So if anybody else has or needs me to add them on, just send me a note underneath this podcast if you need me to add you. Well, Douglas has shown up for this one. He says, reality check. Countries like Saudi Arabia usually want stability, not chaos. Saudi wanted to profit. They're already loaded. They don't need a war to get rich. They've got oil doing that 24/7. They're actually quite upset over their pipeline being blown up today. We're there. I can't see the rest of your note. I'm afraid to touch it because I'm afraid it'll. Okay. I thought I was going to turn us off. We're there to protect them and we're doing a shitty job of it. Do you want to talk? Can you talk on this thing or no? Just tell me if you can say anything or you have to remain quiet. Just type underneath just reply to your own thing because I can see what you're writing. I don't know if he's allowed to talk or if he's going to get in trouble. All right. So again, he says, reality check. Countries like Saudi Arabia usually want stability, not chaos. Yeah, but I didn't say they wanted chaos. I said they wanted to profit and they're just waiting for the crumbs to see where the commerce is. It's not that they need the money. It's just that when they make money like they make, it's like the machine stays being the machine. It's what they know how to do best. They keep the machine going. They find a way to profit off of it somehow, some way. I don't really think it's because they need it. Okay, he says, I wish I could jump in, but my mic's out right now. Comms are still down. But we loved the fact that you stopped by. We loved it. Anybody want to say hi to Douglas? He's on here. Michelle, I know you've been missing him. Something awful over there. So she's been piping and she's worried about you and she posts things about you all the time. Michelle, if you want to say anything. He goes, I heard you, babe. Wasn't saying you were wrong.
Hi, Douglas. Stay safe. Be careful.
Michelle is worried about you like a mama
Mother hen.
hen. She's just every day she's like posting something about you. So he's not able to jump on the microphone, but
Yes, I heard you. I hope
so
you stay safe.
he's trying to. He's
Yes,
trying to.
of course.
And again, I don't know if you were here for the beginning of this, my love, but I didn't want to do the whole war thing just because of what happened earlier in the week and with Tristano and that whole thing. So
Yeah, we're sorry for your loss.
He goes, appreciate it, really. Nonstop chaos and nonsense over here. Well, I know it's nonsense. Get your ass home so that I can be with you and stop this. Just tell him you need to go and you need to come back to me. And we need to do, move me out of Los Angeles. Need to bomb over here. They're probably going to take Los Angeles. What do you think? I think they're going to be done with us. I think Los Angeles is living on borrowed time anyways. I'm just not sure I'm going to be here for all the fireworks. I want to get out before it collapses all around me, and so get me out of here. You need to come back to get me out of here. So again, today's the anniversary of that ghost photo, and I know I've put that out there a bunch, but I'm still waiting for somebody. Look, here's the challenge, guys. I'm still waiting for one of you to send me a photo that's like that ghost photo I posted today. The anniversary was today, and I am 99% sure that that's my grandmother when she was around like 30-ish years old. And I'm pretty sure that was her showing up at Alcatraz just at the moment I wished my grandfather a happy birthday, which happens to be today. It was March 6th, and he was in the Navy also. And Douglas is saying something else. He says, officially, it was supposed to be off duty February 11th, but apparently Ward didn't get the memo. Still stuck here trying to escape. I'll help you escape. I'm going to send him something to help him escape. I have to cast a spell for him to escape. You guys, we have to get him out of there. We have to concentrate all together. We have to get him out of there and bring him back. Because this is just stupid now. This war is it even a war? This is my question for you, Douglas. Is this even a war, or is this just like a bunch of egos playing Monopoly with each other? I mean, what exactly is going on over there? I know that people are getting hurt and whatever, and for that, you need to get out of there. I'm not really happy about this or liking it. Okay? I don't like that you're over there. Michelle, tell him to get over here. What did you say? No photo from me. I don't want to see ghosts. Praying for him to come home. I'm looking for a photo that matches my paranormal ghost photo. I want a photo that's just as good, that's almost a full body or a full body apparition, like the one that I posted, the one that I took, where it's not photoshopped. I have the original SIM card actually still in that flip phone that I took the photo with. I kept the phone. I never got rid of it because I figure that it'll go in some museum somewhere. Or when we all blow each other up, the flip phones will be the only ones that work. All right, so Douglas is saying I could send a ghost photo, but it would look more like a swarm of ghost drones. At least I'm on the ground after 14 hours in the air. It's who's most powerful, and apparently power isn't measured in sleep. Baby, you need to go to sleep now. Just, I know you want to hang out with my podcast and be all like, my defender here, but go to sleep. Go to sleep. Just go to sleep. And when you wake up, come and get me. And I'll try to message you when we're done. So let me see who's requesting. Michelle, you back on? I added.
I lost my mic for some reason. That was so weird.
Where do you go when you leave us? Where do you
I
go?
didn't go anywhere. It just popped out, and that was it. I had to request again.
Well, it could be your Wi-Fi is kind of iffy over there. Maybe
It could
that.
be. It
So,
could be. Or tired, like I am.
so we need to extract him from where he is right now. So let's get Douglas back here so he
Yes.
can be with me.
Universe, send Douglas home to Carla, please.
Yeah, we need to get an extraction in place right now. So so what was your question?
I had one more, which was it's kind of weird. Well, not weird. Is there going to be another attempt on the president's life due to the fact that now Iran, he bombed Iran, and they want to get back?
You totally want to get me in trouble over here, right?
I mean, do you see
You
something
want-
happening?
You want me to be banned from Twitter X for the rest
No,
of
no,
my days?
no.
Okay.
I mean,
So
he just had an attempt, they said, and they got the guy. So, I mean, it's
well,
definitely
all right.
in the realm.
All right. First of all, I don't know if you heard what I was saying earlier that I saw something about Melania. When this
I
is
heard
all
that. Yes.
yeah, when this is all done and over,
Hmm.
it's
She's
almost like
turning him in. Yep.
she makes a phone call or she sends him a text on some burner phone, and that's the end of that. I'm telling you, once they no longer need that particular person in play,
Right. Hmm.
and that's who I see doing it.
Wow. Well, you said it all along. She's in the background, definitely.
Well, here's the thing. I'm just going to say that very,
Hmm.
very coded. I
Yes.
say that in code so that
Hmm.
I am not kicked off this platform.
I get it. I get it loud and clear. I'm
No,
seeing your whole message.
I have a feeling I'm going to open up my door here and they're going to be standing there with cuffs ready to take me away.
No,
It's just, I have to be sort of careful that
it's just an opinion. That's all.
well, no, it's not an opinion, it's a psychic. And you
So
know what?
we're calling it an opinion so they don't lock you up.
No, I'm going to go one further.
Okay.
I stand behind my prophecies and what I see. I am standing
Right.
behind what I just said, but I
Right.
had to say it in such a way that you guys have to, you know who I'm talking about,
Yes.
and you know what I just said. So
Yes.
that way I'm not,
You're
feeding
safe.
myself to the
Right.
lions.
Hmm.
Not quite yet.
I gotcha.
But that's how I see this playing out.
Right. Right.
And you know what? Now that we have Douglas on here, I want to ask him. We
Hmm.
were talking about Venezuela before. Can you say anything about Venezuela? Because what did I say about it, Michelle? I said that I saw somehow that they were connected with
Definitely.
Iran, and that
Hmm.
somehow what I sensed was Venezuela reneged on their deal somehow.
Right.
Like
They're
they made
backing
a
out
deal
now.
and then and he's okay, hold on. Why are you talking about JFK right now? All right, he goes, how does he type it so fast?
I
It's
think
like
he's sleep deprived.
he's like lightning fast. It's basically JFK and the Shah of Iran back in 1962. Wait, 19, 1962 to, I don't know what that, I think you mistyped that. 1962 to 1960 something. JFK literally hosted them at the White House and swapped polite letters about oil, peace, and politics while the world kept burning. It's like
Mm.
ancient diplomatic Twitter beef, except with fancier hats and no character limits. How do you think this stuff up? I swear to God, he's a savant. The way the way he writes. And then he goes, but Israel is not playing fair, just being real. Prior to JFK's assassination, he was trying to look into Israel's nuclear program.
Uh-huh.
All right, so talk to me about Venezuela, though, because I said that earlier in the podcast, and I don't
Yes,
know
you
if you
did.
were on. And what did I say, Michelle? Because you're the note taker. What did I say?
You said that they had some kind of backdoor deal, and Venezuela reneged on it, and Iran is pissed.
Well, I saw somebody reneged on their side. It was
And you're
either
thinking it's Venezuela. Yeah.
I'm thinking it's Venezuela, and I couldn't remember her name. And now we know her name is Rodriguez.
Right.
So, because I couldn't
Del-
remember her name, and I felt
Delphi.
stupid
Yeah.
because I couldn't remember her name.
No, I
All
didn't
right,
know her either. I had to look it up.
wait, he's already typed it out. He said basically Venezuela has been reviewing and suspending a bunch of oil and gas contracts
Uh-huh.
that were signed under the old Maduro government. So that's all I know. I don't know everything that's going on in this geopolitical world. Yes, you do, because you totally do. And you tell me all the time.
He's very smart.
Well, he's very fast. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
He's like on this shit like so fast when he's like, I don't know how he writes all this stuff and has all the answers just right there. Do you ever sleep? Do you
Well, you guys
ever
are still young.
sleep?
Wait till you get to 66. See how fast
Wait
you
till,
remember stuff.
when I'm can you imagine like my brain and his brain and we're both sleeping in the same bed? Like, are
Lord have
we ever
mercy.
going to actually rest? No, because I will be having my prophecy dreams
Oh my
and
Lord.
and he'll be writing songs about my prophecies because
What a team.
and he's gonna write songs like I'll be talking in my sleep and he'll be writing songs based on my prophecies that I have while I'm dreaming.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
and then they're gonna have a new reality show, filming us doing
Oh, Lord.
filming me having prophecy dreams, psychic dreaming. He goes, been
Interesting.
living up to I was 17, basically marinated in chaos and nonsense for decades. Yeah,
Wow.
I know, but I don't know what it is about you, but there's something about you I ended up falling for. So it's all your fault for attracting me.
He's all
I'm not
heart.
sure if it was because he broke all the rules and I'm just attracted to that, because I kind of am. It's not really my fault that like I don't like conventional. Michelle, you've been around for a long time on this thing. Have I
Yep.
ever shown that I'm attracted to something conventional? Never,
Never.
ever
Never.
in my entire life. I would get so so we'll never be bored, will we, baby? Mm-mm, we'll never be bored. So let me take a look at just any. Okay, so Douglas, do you have any question for me, baby? And I know I call you Douglas because I still can't call you Doug, and I'm not really sure why. I don't know why I can't call him by that nickname. It's like either Gladiator. Okay, so Gladiator was like the first nickname, and then My Liege was another one, and then he said, "Start studying. I'm about to hit you with a pop quiz out of nowhere." No, I'm not going to start studying. Like he does this. Like I'm trying to rest. And he'll be like, "No, but I have a pop quiz. You have to answer all this stuff." And I'm like, "No, why do I have to start studying? Studying what? What are you going to hit me with?" All right, so I need to know your question for me. Okay, he goes, I have many, but I'll wait for that private moment. Okay, but you can say a public question. If you have a public question, I will take a look at it. You can ask me a public question, just like everybody else. I might treat him with a little more favoritism, but that's just because who he is. If you want to ask me, you can ask me. I'll see just like I do with everybody else. I'm in psychic mode right now, and I'm seeing what I can see. So anyway, the thing with Venezuela, what I saw was that they, and I was pretty sure it was them, they were pulling back from some agreement they made with them. And this is actually going to be a pivot, or some sort of pivot in this situation with Middle East. I'm not really sure what it is, but it looks like there will be, I don't know, it's like everything comes to a standstill because of it. And remember when I said earlier in the podcast, I said sometimes it's the smallest things that make these events turn. And he goes, wondering when it's over. Trump's still doing laps. Give it 6 weeks. Will our allies ghost us by then? You may have not been in here when I said it earlier that I saw, who asked the question? Who asked that question? Was it Janine? Or was it Michelle? Who's the one that asked me the question about timing with this? Was it you, Michelle?
I think so. I don't even remember. There's so much going on in this podcast.
No, remember when I said that I saw that that every time Trump opens his mouth, he basically just gets us in more and more trouble.
Yep.
Because of his ego and showing off and just his hubris and all that, and that he needs to take credit for saving the world. And every time he opens his mouth, he pushes the timeline back a little bit further. So the first window that I saw for this, and baby, I hope I'm wrong, because I want you back before this date, is like right around May 1st, like May Day.
Yeah. Between May and June.
And then I saw July 4th, between May 1st
and July 4th. Right.
So it's earlier in the podcast I was saying that. So I'm hoping it's before then, though, because I really need to see you before then, because I'm getting really tired of waiting, and you need to accommodate me.
Oh boy. Maybe we should all sign out now. And leave you to lovebirds.
Wait, he's saying something about China. Hold on. He goes, China's on the sidelines like a gamer holding a broken controller. They promised cool toys, but most of that tech either never showed up on the battlefield or never actually worked when it did.
Wow.
Iran's been begging for real hardware, but what China gave was more meh than mighty. So now Iran's kind of side-eyeing them. I don't know. I think China's still in there, baby. Maybe China's trying to be diplomatic, but it's tough to look like a global player when your gear's performing like budget electronics at it. No, I think that's a red herring. I think they're doing that on purpose. They're putting out the bad stuff so that nobody knows they have all the prize tech just waiting to come out. I think they've got it all stashed and ready to go. I think they're just doing that on purpose. It's like someone pretending to be blonde. Okay. Like I will pretend blonde, stupid, and not a brain in my head, right? So, but we all know that's not true. So, that's what China's doing. They are pretending that, oh, well, this is our best stuff. Nuh-uh. We haven't looked behind their curtain yet. They have it. And I saw backdoor deals, backroom deals going down between Trump, and I saw it being reluctant. That was the word that I used earlier.
Begrudgingly.
That begrudgingly he's talking to them. All right, so Douglas is saying Russia is in. We see Su-30s everywhere now, but maybe we'll see what China does. I'm telling you, China has it, but they're trying to remain anonymous, was the word that I used earlier in the podcast. So, baby, go back and listen to the beginning of what I said, because I talked about China a bunch in the beginning. I think it was before you got in here.
Yes, you did.
So, okay. So anyway, he needs to come back here and accommodate me. I'm going to use that word. You need to accommodate me, baby, and get back here. So, put this podcast down here.
Yeah. You guys need some alone time.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that. So let's see. Any other questions from anybody? Audrey, do you have a question? Anybody else? Or any of the other people in here? Do you guys want to get on here and ask a quick question about anything you've heard? Any other podcast? You can ask on paranormal. That's what these potpourri deals are about. You can ask pretty much anything you want. He goes, Douglas says, I'll listen, but I work ISR and not seeing that. What? Oh, he's saying he'll listen to the podcast, but I work ISR and not seeing that. But we'll see China is like that sneaky cousin. Yes, they are that sneaky cousin, baby, because I'm telling you, they're doing something. And he didn't want to do that deal with them, but he begrudgingly was forced into it because he needed insurance policy, and that's what they're providing. They are the insurance policy should everything else fail. That's what I saw.
I agree.
I'm sticking to it. That's kind of what I said. So, I'm not right every single time, but I am right most of the time. So that's why I keep doing this for you guys. All right, I'm doing last call now. Closing up this bar. I'm doing last call. So anybody have any additional questions? Anything?
No.
Any concern you have?
I just want to say good night to you. Good night to Doug. Be safe. Get home soon.
You can call him that name. How come I can't call him that name? Michelle, talk to me. Why can't I call him Doug? What is my problem?
I don't know.
What is my issue with this?
How about just calling him Babe and forget Douglas?
No, I always call him Baby. I always call him, or I call him Gladiator, but I can't. I've never been able to call him the shortened form of his name, so I call him the name his mama gave him. So,
I just have a habit of shortening everyone's name, so that came natural to me to call him Doug.
I've had other clients named Doug. I think that's what it is. And they're nothing like he is. So I just didn't want to diminish anything that he was by calling him that. There's my answer. And
you're sticking to it.
Sticking to it because I don't have any other answer for why I can't call him. He goes, all right, so now he's saying when we're borrowing tech from Ukraine, Russia and China are up to something. We know Russia and China are up to something, baby, because do you know how many times Shanghai has been on my website in the past 3 weeks? I can't tell you how many times, but they're scraping my site like crazy. And it's not a bot. In fact, I want to give you all that information so you can go find out who they are. Because I swear to God, it's pissing me off now. They are on my site more than any other person has ever been on my site since I started it back in 2003 is when I started my website. I have never seen this type of activity, and it's only been in the past 3 weeks. Shanghai has been scraping my site since 3 weeks ago, and it hasn't stopped. It hasn't stopped at all. So he said, don't worry, we've got eyes on everything. It's because you like them vows. What about? How come when you're tired, you talk like you're country? Why do you talk country when you're tired? See, you can tell when he can. Michelle, this is how I know when he hasn't slept, because he'll say, no, he'll say the word ain't. Like he says the word ain't.
Uh-huh.
He'll say that word when he's exhausted, and he'll talk country, and then he'll say country things like you'd like them vowels. First of all, he doesn't talk like that unless he's so tired.
That's the show. He's
No,
exhausted.
I
Get some sleep.
the fact that they, and let's just talk about the pharmaceuticals that they have to give these boys just to keep them awake over there, these pilots awake. I am not happy with that
No,
at
that's not
all.
good.
And now I'm going to have to like detox him in my own special way. I will detox you, baby, I promise.
That's crazy.
I'm using the word detox in a very sensual way there.
Yeah, I'm saying good night now. Have a good night, Carla. Everyone, good night. Doug, good night. I've been up since 6 o'clock. I'm cross-eyed.
All right, you need to go. All right, he says it's because his squad leader is from Kentucky, and when you're with him, screaming in the radio all day. Okay, so
That's funny.
Is that the excuse we're giving? All right, so all right,
Good
Michelle,
night.
good night. All right, so I'm doing last call now. Anybody else have a question they want to ask me? If you don't, I'm going to wrap it up and we'll have this up. We've gone 2 hours. We'll wrap it up. You guys can find this on any of the platforms, including YouTube. YouTube, you can do comments. You can also do comments here on Twitter X. And next week we'll do another one, and we'll see if Douglas can come to that one too, because that was fun. He got to come this time, and I saw all of his little comments because we're back on the web and I don't have to read my phone. I'm going to sign off now, and I'm wishing everyone a good evening. And Douglas, I will talk to you over on our little thing we talk on. So I will chat with you guys later, and good night.